Tariffs. If there's been one topic that we've heard so much about in 2025, it's tariffs. But what do they actually mean to a practice owner? That's the thing. And when we ask our clients, what concerns you? I think staffing, retaining, attracting staffing is still number one. I think the rising cost of everything is right behind it, or 1A. But I guess I'm curious what you've seen as far as tariffs actually affecting clients. I think the cost of everything is high. I think pharmaceuticals is one of the larger expenses, and I think to me it's still where they're sourced. Where are you purchasing them from? And just knowing, is there a difference on if I use one vendor or another?
Yeah, I think the biggest application I've seen for this is just the cost of items like new computers, new technology, new pieces of equipment. Those suppliers, a lot of the impacts of those tariffs are being passed along to them from their wholesalers and from their manufacturing components and subsidiaries and what they subcontract. So the reality is, a lot of those technical items, right, have a large amount of their components made elsewhere. And the relationship of those and where those geographies are is more inherent and more apparent than it has been probably ever, at least as long as I can recall. And some of those manufacturers are conscious about that and they're working to strategize to help eliminate some of those impacts. But it's not going to be an overnight process. And as they work to try and navigate the tariffs themselves, in the meantime, they're kind of passing along those costs.
They're passing them along, which is understandable. At the same time, I'm a fan of shopping around because you may also have those suppliers that are not necessarily impacted by tariffs, but this may be the opportunity, right, to raise the price a little bit and pad profitability a little bit. I'm not saying it's happening, but this possibility is certainly out there. I think just talk openly about it. Ask your suppliers, ask your vendors where you're purchasing from, especially big ticket items. Hey, is this, are you impacted by tariffs? Is this being passed on to me? And consider what other options you have, especially with those big ticket items, because if they are impacted, they are being passed on to you, and different suppliers may be sourcing their products, their end products, from different locations. So just be open about the conversation and consider your options.